going ahead and letting it go live so people can see that and start tapping in. Hello, Cindy. Let you guys view some trees. View some trees. Some trees and now a roof. Okay, I do have to everybody's having to look at my nose. Sorry about that. I do have to take a moment and clean this table off because there is stuff all over it. Rain, leaves, all kinds of stuff. Oh, that's wet too. I'm so grateful for everyone that's joining. Just give me a moment to get this wiped off from rain and leaves and all that good stuff. Okay. All right. Oh, hello. So glad you could join, my dear. You finally catching alive. I know it's been a minute, so I am so grateful. So grateful. All right. Let me see. Battery's good. All right. Thank you all for your patience as I get this set up. Like I said, I just go ahead and let it hit live so that everyone could drop in while I am getting all of this set up. And again, I'm really grateful that you all are choosing to be here for this. I do want to reflect that this type of activation, now of course, all of my activations are meant to be using the totality of your awareness. Okay, that's what makes it powerful. So from that space, I just want to do a reminder because Lori reached out and said she might be driving. Please make sure that once the major part of the activation, please be sure that once that starts, that you are not driving. Okay, because now, depending on your sensitivity to energy, if your sensitivity to energy is a bit lower, you could make it, right? You could receive the activation and not pull you into an alternate state. But majority of, like, pretty much everyone that I've talked to that's reflected driving, actually everyone that's attempted to drive while receiving the type of activation that's offered, it's not a good thing. They either have a very difficult time and they almost wreck, or they're going in and out of consciousness. So please do not drive. Mina, yes, thank you, my dear. Thank you for receiving. So please allow yourself to honor the what this is. Okay, and I'm going to speak into that in just a minute. This is as I always speak, I honor the power of what is brought through in these activations. Not from an egoic standpoint. I understand, because I also understand my quotient. I understand my light. I understand my experience of my light. And so it's not speaking from a space that's it's really not. It's just simply reflecting what is energetically. And what I am stepping into here today is, I've been moving through, as per those in my group space, this process of moving out of ignorancy. And speaking of ignorancy, the ability for us to ascend depends on our ability to move out of ignorancy into our lesson groups, which is really what the beginning path of awakening is about. Is we're no longer ignorant to the world around us. We have an opportunity to understand that there is something more, and we begin our journey of healing. And so we go into our probationary period. Our probationary period is determined, just as all things, on choice. And choices carry a certain tone, a certain vibration based on where you're existing from. Okay, so I'm going to speak into that a little bit. I know I've spoken into like the probationary path and the path of mastery. Let me do this really quickly, you guys. Let me change the settings on the comments so that we get all the chaos and the clutter out. So now it's going to require a little something different there. Okay. All right. So inviting only energetic alignment for the comments. So if you're here to troll, you won't be given access. So the offering today is coming from a space or a level of my own initiation, where every single day I've been invited to enhance my own application of activation through myself. Welcome, Greg. So amazing. Love seeing every single one of you choosing to dial in. And this application of energetic activation is increasing the quotient of light. Now, the quotient of light is directly correlated to our choices. I really want to speak into here perceived beliefs, where a lot of times our understanding of light, our understanding of experiencing or receiving light is bound by the belief system. Now, I know I speak into this and it might seem like a reiteration of some things, but I really would invite an opportunity for each of you to receive, because this activation is based around something very specific on the path of mastery, which means the ability to connect to not only our higher self energetically, which is completely different than what most people think it is, and our monadic flame, which is what I will be bringing in through my monadic cord by having that accessibility to the monadic consciousness. Now, many of us have a belief that the light is something that we see. We have a belief that the light is an image, that those operating in the light hold a certain image. You've heard me speak about this in relation to certain masters or teachers or angels, really. Ascended masters, yes, they're going to hold a greater image because they're still, some of them are still operating from a state that holds that image, which means they have ascended into a higher state per their own initiation, but they have retained their image per their choice. Now, those that have not retained their image are those that chose the body of light. The body of light is a presence. It holds some form. The higher you go into your state of retained light, the lesser you hold form. The more you go into the pathway of returning to the unity, the less you retain form. But this happens in many phases. So we are here right now, soul extensions. We are soul personalities, okay? Or extensions of our soul personality. We have 12 soul personalities. Everyone right now is a soul extension of 11 other soul extensions. There's 12 soul extensions and there's 12 soul personalities. The soul personalities are your higher selves. You have 12 higher selves. Underneath each higher self is 12 soul extensions. That's 144. Okay, so again, we can see where the 144 becomes misconstrued through stories and understandings of egoic perception, because everyone is connected to the 144. Everyone has 144 soul extensions. Now there are 144,000, shall we say, energetic appointed guardians to honor the 144 extensions, if you will, using that number in this realm as simply just an honoring. But the guardians are simply those of us that choose to continue the path and master the frequency. We oversee the magnetic electric, the energetic grid system. And this is because we are choosing a higher path of purity, a higher path of understanding the self through realization of the lower characters. Our lower characters harness our behaviors, our senses of how we understand, even through the psychic. And again, I'm going to bring in another perception, another avenue of understanding in relation to the psychic senses, that we don't gain access to the purity of our psychic senses until we ascend, because of the multitudes of levels and layers of mastery that are required to really completely open up those sensory systems. They're still bound energetically by some state of believed understanding. And so a lot of times when we're let's say going through an activation, and as you are moving through an activation, you go on a fantastical journey of images, and you all have heard me speak into this before. Where are the images coming from? Well, the only thing that can perceive images are your physical eyes. Even if your eyes are closed, your eyes are still projecting. Your eyes project images. Your internal eye does not, it's not equipped, it's not built. Your pineal gland, your third eye connection, your gateway to the light does not perceive images. It's not built that way. And I know you all have heard me speak into this, but it's simply, it's built to harness as a gateway energetically into the higher connection cords. So we have an opening in the base of our spine. I'm sorry, in the back of our head, the base of our head, the base of our skull. And this directly correlates to the chakra at the base, at the top of the spine. As we begin to ascend, just like when we come into this realm, our soul comes in through the crown. As we ascend, our energy body, we come up out of that same space. We come up, we're brought up out of the physical, and that would be the resurrection, if you will. So we come up out of that space. Now, how do we get there? And this is where we have an opportunity to take that image with us. If we want to take our physical image, then the flame of the monad burns away the cellular composite, which is physical density. Physical matter is different than atomic light. What everyone is perceiving in the physical density is not the reality of the light. What everyone believes what they're connecting to in the realm of physical matter is simply one layer of experience, of existence, but it's still bound by the matter. Matter is particle based. It's not wave based. We understand this through quantum mechanics and quantum physics, is that there's a particle and there's a wave. Okay, when you start getting into the wave, you start getting into atomic, because there is a force of light that precedes the creation. And so if we are operating in the particle, we're still operating in physical matter through a projection of our own image into a parallel existence that we have chosen through the lower characters of our root, sacral, and solar plexus. From this space, we remain, we have not yet reached the heart. And again, it goes into, many people say, I'm in the heart, I'm heart-led, I'm operating from the heart, I am existing through the heart, I'm accessing through the heart. But there's a disconnect, because there's yet to be a self-realization as to what that experience really is. The self-realization is held in one state of existence, in the internal, eternal plane, which is the existence of the self in a state that feels, experiences, sees, perceives its mental body, its emotional body, its physical body, but it is not bound in the physical body when it perceives. So when we go into this activation and I request that you drop in, I'm not asking you to remain in the physical, but you can go there to begin. This is also why I started shifting away from accessing the activations from a space of moving into the heart. because there is a perception of what that is. And that means the mind was trying to access what it perceives or what it thinks the gateway of the heart is. And then what ends up happening is the senses pick up on that, and the senses, through the psychic senses, project images of what it thinks the heart is, which takes it on a journey, disconnects it from itself, and it thinks it's going into a realm of earth, of solar, of cosmic, but it's actually not. It's going into the belief of what it thinks it is. Now, this doesn't mean that we can't access those spaces. It goes back to what I was speaking into in relation to the pineal gland and our perception of light. Light is darkness. Darkness is light. You all have heard me say this. The unseen, which is darkness, is actually the existence of light. Light, we cannot see with our physical eyes the source light, the spirit light. It is impossible. We are not in the physical realm of matter. We do not have the access point. It's a frequency range. It's a range. And just like our hearing only hears a certain range, our vision only sees a certain range. Everything in our senses expand on that, but it's still connected into the same system of the physical density dimensionality. Now, because it does expand outside of that, as you begin opening up the psychic senses and elevating the ability to connect to the clairs, you can perceive beyond the captivity of time into other parallel existences. But you're still perceiving the existences that are bound by the physical realm, the material realm. Do I feel that there is an availability to perceive beyond that eventually? Of course, yes, as I spoke into, per ascension. Is it the cosmic realm? Is the etheric, which means the psychic senses do not connect into the etheric. It's an energetic space that is unseen. And it's unseen because as we start going into the more subtle outer layers of the energy bodies, we are getting closer and closer, and shall we say higher and higher, to a energetic no thing, just the fabric of existence. So all of this is an invitation of realization that a lot of times what we think we know is captive and bound by our belief systems. The availability to experience ourselves on this plane of existence through an expansive point comes through the ability to inherit our quotient of light. Our quotient of light is atomic, it is unseen, it is the electric magnetic currents, actually magnetic electric, it's more magnetic, there's a little electric, but it's majority magnetic. And those waves are felt, and you can actually feel them as your body. For me, my experience yesterday, I was laying there applying an activation like what I'm going to bring through here, just a little different because it's for the greater collective. I could feel myself as all the different dimensional layers or density layers. I felt myself in the physical density as the particles, but the particles were waves. So my physical body was not locked into one existence. It was moving all over the place. As I was requesting axonal alignment, which is what I will bring through here, my body the parts began to move to accommodate a space of basically putting the puzzle pieces back into their proper existence, back into their aligned existence, in a term of speaking frequentially, magnetic electrically, not physical matter bound by one. Like we think of the bones, we think of the joints, we think of them as being like stuck, as being solid. But that's what we perceive matter to be. That's also the way the lower mind creates matter or manifests on the material plane. Is it manifests from the lower understanding. It manifests based on what it believes, and what it believes is what it perceives. When you start rising through a path of mastery into the higher mind and higher consciousness, you get access to the ability to experience the manifestation of matter in the now, in the eternal, with an ability to not only activate through the commandment of matter, to experience the self as the wave and not the particle, but you can also experience, so I was the particle wave, I was also the atomic etheric, I was in the atomic body. The atomic body is magnetically charged with some electrical currents. And then from that space, it was the central rod, which is that central channel. It is the pillar, and it is the no thing, but it is the direct connection to God's source self. So all of those three layers were accessible and they were active, and it was a beautiful experience. I share this to share with you what's not just possible, but what's available. But there is a necessity. Most people are not willing to step into such a path because of the devotion that is necessary. The self-devotion is utterly undeniable to understand what I'm reflecting here. And everything I'm reflecting here is not what I received in books. I didn't read it somewhere. It is simply coming in the central channel as a realization of self through my own experiences. It's not coming from any other space. And when we have an opportunity to self-realize from this space, it's not because it's a means to an end. It's not because we want a certain outcome. It's not because we expect to have a certain outcome, like expecting to have a certain outcome of the new earth, expecting to belong to certain cosmic certain cosmic existences. It's not, there's no need attached to it. It's just simply that's what is. So from the higher self, our soul, which is our soul, as we exist in this one soul extension, this 11 other soul extensions, as I've spoken into, maybe they're incarnate somewhere, maybe they're in form, maybe they're not. They could be on the inner planes. They could be one of your guides. As you begin the process of self-mastery, welcome, Becca. As you begin this path, if you so choose it, you must be willing and accepting to devote to the deeper understandings of self, which means there's a level of vulnerability that is absolutely required. And not only that, there is a complete necessity for unconditional acceptance. This doesn't mean that it's going to be there right away. It does mean it's a practice. It's a practice. But it's available for those that are willing and open. Now, I mean willing and open, not so that you can just show, hey, I'm mastering, right? It's not about attainment. If you seek this from attainment so that you can be recognized, you will never be bestowed the initiation. You will never be bestowed the ascension, because it's an energetic presence. It is a state of existence. And from that state of existence, you are not bound by any one thing. You're not even bound by the physical material. You are free. So in even such experience, like you can just simply go internal, lay down and have an experience of yourself in all forms. Not bound by emotional, not bound by mental, not bound by physical, but as the wave of energy that you exist as when you are not bound by the lower character of self. The lower character of self makes us think, makes us believe, because that's through the lower mind and the lower character, this is the way it's been conditioned and built and chosen, is it makes us think that everything that we are experiencing in our reality is our truth, and that's the only truth. And because we feel that that's our only truth, we normally don't choose differently, or we become blocked and bound by the fear of change. Because the lower mind and the lower personality cannot perceive change. It cannot understand change. It can only analyze what it thinks change means. Just like it can only analyze what it thinks such a path is. It can't understand. It's not built to understand. If we accept and allow that our entire created reality, which is an illusion, it's an illusion because it's bound in a certain form. It's not free. The true reality of existence is free. It's not bound by anything. It's not bound by time. It's not bound by form. It's consistently moving. It's consistently evolving. And so if we accept that and we unconditionally accept it, then we allow ourselves to consistently move energetically. Does this mean that everything around you is going to just be just utterly and completely different? No. But internally, everything is going to be utterly and completely different. Everything. You will be in a state that is peace. You will be in a state that is simply accepting. It accepts anything and everything. It doesn't choose that. It might not choose, let's say, maybe another person is, let's say you're communicating with family and they're in a state of excitement, or they're in a state of fear. They're in a state of upset, of chaos. When you're in a state of unconditional acceptance, you accept that. That's their choice. You accept that they choose that. You accept that they exist there. You accept the wars. You accept the chaos. You accept the hate. You accept the anger. You accept the aggression, but you simply don't choose to go there. You accept that the perception of love, the perception of joy. You accept that those are opportunities that you could go into, just like the anger and the hate. They're simply opposite ends of a spectrum emotionally. Love and joy, hate, anger are the exact same thing. They're no difference. Just like water has the temperature of hot and cold, but it's still water. The water doesn't change just because we believe it should, just because it's hot. And if it goes cold, we don't believe, or we could believe it to be something, right? Other than being hot or cold, we could believe that it has to be, because it's cold, it has to be an ice cube. Because it's cold, it must be frost. And if we choose to believe that, then we remain bound by that belief. But with water, we allow it, right? Because it's an element, it exists, and however it exists is how it appears. In the state of allowing, when you're in that state, you allow and accept that those emotional ranges appear. They're there, they're available. You could go into them at any time, but you don't choose it. You don't choose. From your central point, if you simply accept the polarity, you don't separate yourself from your eternal state. But if you do, just like when someone is in a state of chaos and confusion or upset, or maybe they're in a consistent state of love, right? They're in a relationship and they're just so in love and they're talking about the love, and it's just one of those things that someone gets very caught up in. They get very caught up in it because it's a belief. It's a belief. It's an emotional state. An emotional state, just like the mental state is the belief. The emotional state fulfills the belief. And so when you are caught up in the belief, the mental projects you there and the emotional shows up to support it. And so therefore, that's where you are. You're separate. And you're in an identity. And in that identity, that's how you identify everything. That's how you identify everything that you perceive. But in that central space, you just simply exist. There's no identity. There's the understanding and the acceptance of it, but unconditional acceptance is simply existence. Just like the water. You just exist. You flow. You move in and out of experiences without expectation. You always can if you so choose. You can go into expectations. If you're expecting a certain outcome, if you're expecting to have something go a certain way, or if you want to know what the end result is going to be, that's the analytical self needing to know so that it can feel better about what it's chosen. But if you allow, then you allow and you simply accept. From that state of acceptance, everything unfolds and everything is exactly as it is because it was chosen. So we have an opportunity in every moment to heighten and master our existence here. But the path of ascension, the ascension requires not being bound by the lower characters. The lower characters of self are bound by the root sacral solar plexus. Through ascension, you unify the lower chakras. They are unified. They come up through the heart, expand, connect into the higher, and you have a central. Okay, you have a central access point, and you build your light quotient. Okay, but you must close off, or I'm sorry, you must close out the contracts of the lower to gain the access to the inheritance of the light, because the light is electric magnetic, it is atomic. And if you're still bound by the matter version of you, the things that you believe matter, quite literally, you are bound by the lower mind through the beliefs of what you think matter the most. When you are bound there, you are stuck through the realm of matter, and the realm of matter doesn't ascend. That's the whole point. Ascension is choice. It doesn't just happen. And I know this is something that a lot, and I've spoken into this, a lot of people believe that just because they're here now, and just because they're incarnate, and just because there's incoming energies, and just because the earth holds the contract, that they're going to just ascend. But my question is, how? How are you going to ascend into a no form if you're still bound by form? And how are you going to ascend without taking the responsibility of your choices and understanding your choices? And this is where many just hold that through that character belief that just because they know things, that they're going to know themselves all the way into ascension, that they're going to know themselves there, right? I know it, so therefore I know I'm there. But they're still yet to be an understanding of their own existence. And this is where everyone has really gotten lost and overlooked the entire purpose and intention of being here right now. It was about discovering and self-realizing the purpose, the intention of choice, the purpose of the choice. What is the purpose? What is it serving? What is the intention? And through that, you also self-realize. But self-realize only happens in that central space that I'm talking about. It can't happen anywhere else, because you'll just simply go into trying to understand, trying to feel, trying. And there is no acceptance. There's split vibration. The ascension requires more of us. It's meant to. This is what I tell my group all the time, because this is what we're committed to. We're committed to that path. We're committed to the ascension. But it's a commitment of self-devotion. And does this mean, and I would like to reflect, even if you don't step into your own vibrational bestowal by your own soul, by your own higher self, energetically, by your own monad, that's where the letting in it happens, right? It's an energetic acceptance, because you've committed yourself energetically, and therefore you have an inheritance. And your inheritance of yourself is also the ability to let go of what you think you're inheriting through the material world based on the beliefs that hold you captive there. Of course, that still, we don't want to view it as anything other than divine, because even the realm of matter and the realm of the mind and the realm of the emotions and the ego, they're divine. There's nothing bad or wrong, right? It's not a negative thing. It's a beautiful thing. But you must be willing and accepting of that. If not, you're always going to fight, and you're going to defy, and you will believe that everything is a condition. Because that's the only way the mind can understand things, is that it's conditional. Just like it analyzes, it places conditions on things. So the activations that have been applied through me and my invitation is a part of my initiation into my own ascension. And I share that here. I share that openly in the capacity at which I am able, energetically. You will receive at the capacity at which you're able. The ability for you to receive higher is going to depend on what you choose after you leave this space. You will inherit more of your light if you commit yourself consistently to having the space to receive more light. Light, again, being waves, not matter. So everything that, one thing I asked my group space is, we're talking about this being a commitment of the soul, because the soul is the higher self. And if you would like to inherit your higher self and your soul, you must be committed to the soul journey, the soul path. The soul doesn't seek the lower. It simply just places its soul personalities there, its soul extensions there to go through the experiences. But it's up to us to remember that our pathway out of the lower back into the higher is the commitment back to the soul, not the commitment to the matter. And therefore, we honor the matter, but we accept and inherit. We inherit the world. We inherit physical form by inheriting the path of the soul. Meaning we're not bound there anymore. Energetically, our soul extension, there's not a part of our soul that requires to come back and retrieve itself. So my question to them was, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you choose the path of the soul? Why wouldn't you commit to and devote to something greater than what you think you need, what you think you know, and what you think you understand? Because the only thing that's on the other side of that is a greater understanding. You don't lose anything. You simply gain everything that you have yet to remember. And you're remembering your mission, your journey. Now, for some people, it might not be mastery. You might not be, and I say this, of course, just because people want to, because it sounds good. It's like, yes, of course, why wouldn't I want that? But then when it comes to actually stepping into and committing, that's a whole different story, right? For those of you in my group, it's a completely different story, because it's going to ask a level of vulnerability from you that many people are not willing, and not even, I don't want to say that. It's not even just that vulnerability, it's the perception of what vulnerability is. And if you're not at an energetic, if you quite literally as an extension, if your soul realizes that you need to learn some more, that you're not ready, no matter how much you want to as an extension, there is an aspect of you that must be able to come into its own self-realization. It must have attained and learned its lessons. And it must be willing to accept that. Because if it hasn't accepted that, it's going to keep learning its lessons, because it's not also accepting of change, which means it's going to remain committed to the cycles. And so, there will reach a point where I do feel there is an availability right now, and I do feel like this is also why this is dropping in. And I'm being guided to speak into this more, and I'm being guided to invite and offer the activations. Is this an opening for another wave of mastery, for those to step in, for those to accept? It's almost like a leap of faith. And if it's chosen, if it's accepted, then you accelerate your journey by receiving. And this is what happens. Now, even through that, it still just simply doesn't mean that a person, just because they want to, that they're going to be able to. There's a point, there's a threshold of self-understanding that is necessary. Absolutely. And I've realized that. I've had those that have come in my group, and after a month or two, if the ability to accept the self or the ability to accept the reflections isn't there, then I just close the contract out, because it's not that I don't want to support and assist, but if the soul contract doesn't drop in, it doesn't drop in. So I say that because that's something that this also, when we look at why people want to do it, if people are just wanting to do it to be seen as doing it, just seen as that, they want to be seen as the initiate, then that contract will close out really quickly. It will not be available. So as this journey continues, and I want to reflect why, I want to reflect why it's not that a person, it's not, again, if we look at those, like when I open up the services and I offer here freely, it's not that I don't want to help everyone. It's not that I don't want to support, and it's not that I don't want to invite everyone into those experiences. But if I open up that contract and someone chooses to exchange, and they are not stepping into and taking responsibility for that self-understanding, then I end up upholding the majority of that karmic energy and transmuting it. And therefore the experience is held through me, not through them, because they're not having the self-realization. They're not simply energetically connecting. And so then it becomes very, very depleting energetically, it exhausts the energy bodies. So when people, I feel there's people in the collective that there's a perception, and I know I've had it before, is that, all of this should be free. You should offer it. You should just give it. You should just teach teach everyone and give everyone access. But that would be extremely exhausting if others that step up are just simply expecting and not accepting. If they're just wanting it for reasons that doesn't fully serve the higher. So everyone has an opportunity to step into this always. It's not special. It's not just like, I'm not saying this because some people are better than or greater than. No, it's a choice. It's a choice. And it's a choice in every moment. And it's a devotion to deeper realization and deeper understanding. But you must be willing to be surrender to that. Because if not, once you reach a certain capacity of your lesson group and you're invited to transcend the threshold, it's going to become very, very, very difficult. That letting go part, that transcendence that's available, that's why it becomes more difficult. That's why there feels like there's more resistance, is because you're at that threshold. It requires a master choice to transcend the threshold, meaning you honor the mastery up until that point and you put it into action. But if you're not willing to put the mastery into action, then you don't transcend the threshold. And energetically, you're there. That's where you exist. You're bound by the matter and you're bound by the vibration. You're simply, that's just where you exist. And that's a wonderful thing, right? If I'm not speaking as it's bad or negative. If you're committed, be unconditionally accepting and own your shit, own your choices, own it. If you're not willing to own it, then you will deny it, you will shame, you will guilt. Own it. Like, yes, that is my choice. Yes, that is how I perceive. Yes, that is me. Yes, that's me. Yes, that's me. I accept it and honor it. Because if not, it's going to be a battle. And you're battling, and you will battle anyone and everyone that will challenge, because the perception in you is based in challenge. It's conditional, and therefore it challenges. And if it is brought to face where the challenge exists, it's going to want to turn away. It's going to want to run, and it's going to be uncomfortable, because until you've had one that will hold a mirror, like those of you in my group know, that hold and illuminate and ask you to turn into, and ask you to face and accept. It's just asking. You don't have to. You can continue to run and turn away all you want. But if you accept the invitation and you turn into, then you get to see that the mirror was always higher. The mirror is going to show you all the lower, but the way that you receive and view the mirror depends on what you believe the mirror is showing you. If you believe the mirror is showing you something bad, something negative, then of course you're going to want to run, because you believe that it's bad. But why does it have to be bad? Why does it have to be chaotic? Why does it have to be end of the world? Why does it have to be so negative? Why? Why is that such a necessity? Well, it's a lesson. And you'll continue to learn that lesson so long as you choose it. And it's not about being serious. Energetically, this is what most people perceive a path of peace is that you take everything seriously. But if you look at the identity and the behavior of the defiance, it's the one taking everything seriously. It's the one that takes everything seriously. It's horrible, it's bad. And that's the human suffering of joy and love, is that when you don't have what you perceive it is, you go into suffering. The path of the balance, the path of the Buddha, as we know, the middle path is the path of acceptance. That's all it is. But as easy as that sounds, until it is discovered, it will be unknown. It's in the darkness. In the darkness is light. Light is darkness. So the unknown, the realization of acceptance, is the light. It has no form, it has no image, and the only image that shows itself is you. The shadow is the hidden. Not the unknown, but the hidden. It's in the back. It's always back there talking. It's giving the words of doubt. It's giving the words of discomfort. It's offering the discomfort. It's the shadow. It's trying to pull you away from the light. It's trying to pull you away from the darkness, because it's wanting to pull you away from what you don't know. And that's the job. That's quite literally the programming of the lower mind, is like a radar detector. Oh, I don't know what that is. So, oh, nope, it's bad. I've never had that experience. Oh, nope, can't do it. I don't understand that. Nope, got to go the other way. And so it pulls, it consistently pulls. And because it pulls, if that's accepted, not from a place of unconditional, but from a place of a condition, I accept it, but the condition is through acceptance, I don't choose differently. I don't accept anything other than this. So it's a conditioned acceptance. So thank you for receiving. And I truly hope that this has been and offered some service of deeper understanding. And I do hope that it has assisted to illuminate some deeper understanding. And I would highly recommend that if you do choose the path of higher, that you connect with someone that is also walking that path. The path of going into the higher does require a mirror. And you don't do it alone, even though it is an individual journey. It's a soul journey. And only you can soul realize, only you can soul recognize. But the mirror is a soul contract. Therefore, the mirror, so long as there is one that is walking with and higher in mastery, you can attain, I don't want to say attain, you can ascend higher in understanding. And then eventually through the initiations, you will ascend through each plane of mastery, which is physical, emotional, which is etheric, and mental. So this allows you to gain access to ascension fully. But each initiation is a bestowal. It really, really is. You are bestowed because energetically, that's where you exist. It can be no other way. Everything is energy. But we have a tendency to compartmentalize these things. We have a tendency, if we hold a belief that things are a certain way, then we'll invite others into that belief and we'll be like, oh, we're doing this together. We're doing this together because we believe this, because we're connecting to these cosmic beings and they're telling that all we need is love. Well, that is true, but the way that they transmit the understanding of acceptance is through the word love, because first the pathway into love and wisdom, the ray of love and wisdom, is acceptance. It's not the emotional love, it's not the mental love, it's not the perceived love, it's not the believed love. It's actually a ray of acceptance where you accept, therefore you gain the wisdom of self. You gain the wisdom through the self-realization, through the acceptance. You actually move through the heart, which is the opening into ascension. But you must reach the heart. You must actually reach that chakra, that energetic center, which means you're no longer bound by the root, sacral, solar plexus. So we only rise higher and gain access to higher because we're energetically there. Okay, so I understand the perception and the belief means if I'm doing these things and I'm doing this work, this is where connecting into Gaia and doing work with Gaia, the misconception there, because you don't do any work with the planet. You don't. She is already on a path. She is already committed. She is a conscious creator. And through the vibrational quotient of the collective, she can energetically pull out of the density of matter, along with the sun, along with the star. And the star has already begun that process. It's already going in and out of time. The sun is already moving in and out of time. It's gaining access to it's shifting, and every single part of the sun holds a different composition. And so the parts of it molecularly that can gain its atomic access point go first, just like us. So if we allow ourselves to accept that everything is by choice, and the commitment of the planet and the sun, their contract is a little bit different because they are the bodies that have held the contract, that have assisted us in having this experience. And so when enough of our energy is no longer fully bound by the negative control, when we start to even in the lesson groups, we start to lessen the control that the systems have. We're no longer controlled fully by fear. We're beginning to understand the fear. We lessen our grip on that grid, right? We're no longer bound. It frees up the energy. It gives the planet an opportunity to free up the energy. So it allows us energetically to move together. And when we move together energetically through ascension, we hold a different, we also hold an extra part on our template when we go, when we travel, when we leave. Once we've ascended, we have an opportunity to go down the path of 7 different paths, 7 different rays. And when we move down whichever path, whichever ray we choose, each ray contains mastery, certain point of service and mastery. And so this right here is a preparation for the continuation of what we put into motion right now. So it's not just like, the cycle of your existence is either bound by life and death, which means you are bound by the physical, you're bound by the material. That means that at a certain point, if you have not cycled out of the lesson groups, then you have the death hormone that kicks in, right? You start to age, you start anything energetically that can physically affect you will, or you'll make it to a ripe old age and you will just pass over. Regardless, it depends on the template, it depends on your gene code, whatever it is, but you will age. Your body, the matter will fade, and you will be energetically given back. The matter will go back into where the matter came from, right? Your soul goes into, or I'm sorry, the version of you, the extension, goes back into a place of rest, rejuvenation, and when you're ready, you will incarnate into matter again. Now, you don't have to, but you are bound. You don't. That's a very beautiful part about this. You don't have to, but because the way that we are created energetically, we are created to fulfill our highest mission. That is always the service of the universe. It's the service of the evolution of the universe. It's the service of source. We are bestowed the mission, we fulfill the mission, and then we continue on. The mission, of course, is to close out anything that binds us. And this is the lesson groups. Now, not everyone has to ascend. Many people will simply move in and out of energetic experiences. And so they will have their lifetime here, they will pass on, and then when they are ready to come back in for the experiences of the physical plane, they will reincarnate in a like physical plane to have more experiences. So that soul extension remains basically in like a limbo light state. And when it's ready for more light, when it's ready for more physical, it will go back into an incarnation. But that's the cycle. Okay. Now, if you want to cycle into something higher, if you begin the path of mastery, all soul extensions, even those that are in the resting state of the in-between, all of that begins to come in. And you gain access to all of you as the soul. And that way you can take all of you as the soul and ascend as the soul, because you have completed the mission of mastery. If the mission is just experiences, then you go through life and death. That's the way it is. That's the way it is in matter. But if you want to ascend, the choice is fulfilled through a higher and different energetic path. And of course, this is where that misconception of ascension comes in. Everyone believes that just because it is, right? Just because I'm going to. Just because I know I'm going to, right? Just because I'm a starseed, I'm going to. But everything is choice, my dears. Everything is choice. And because we have sovereign free will choice on this physical plane, it is sovereign because it is ours. It is ours to choose. It is not and it is only bestowed because it is our divine inheritance to receive it, because we have energetically came to a place of understanding the responsibility that is bestowed upon us. Ascension is a responsibility of energy, and it's an ascension into a more pure state. But if you don't understand, if you have no self-realization, then there's no responsibility or integrity. Doesn't mean it's not available, it's just not being chosen. So at the end of the day, the question is, what do you feel you're here for? You know, maybe you're just here for the experiences. Maybe you're here to go through the life and death cycle. If you're here for the experiences, man, celebrate that, claim that, allow that. You don't have to master, and you don't have to ascend. You can choose that at any time from any incarnation. You don't have to choose that here. But I would invite in that if you choose the experiences, you still have the understanding that that soul extension doesn't go anywhere, right? Just so long as that's understood. It's always going to incarnate bound by the lesson, right? Bound by the experience, which is the lesson. And because that soul extension has a specific template of energetic incarnation, it's going to inherit that template wherever it incarnates. So the lessons that you have here will be similar wherever you go. It's not going to change. So that's your soul. That's simply your soul inheritance in the lower material. Your soul inheritance in the higher is not bound by that. So, and energetically, the planet, again, the planet, the greatest gift that we can give to the planet is this internal, the application of self-mastery and self-discovery. That's the greatest gift, because anything other than that is, even the cycles of the experiences are still bound by some energetic form of matter. And so the part of the planet that's going to ascend is the planet that is not connected to matter. So the planet portion that's still bound by matter, actually energetically, no, let me shift that. So long as there are those that are mastering energetically and have the capacity to honor that, then the planet, it still holds the contract of ascension, and she will ascend out of physical. Same with the sun. We will no longer be in physical matter form. And so this is the way, it's already agreed upon. That's the divine plan. The divine plan is that the planet and the sun already ascend, because there are those that are here fulfilling the path that allows that to happen. So once the life and death cycles of those are completed, then the like I said, the soul extension will just incarnate elsewhere. So this means that you there's will there be an earth plane in existence? I don't feel there'll be a physical matter earth, because the contract is already being fulfilled now. And that's the cooperative contract with those that exist here. Is our greatest service is to allow ourselves to free up that energy. And the more that we free up that energy, the easier it is energetically. But everything that's necessary for her ascension is already in place. So we either are part of that, or we're still energetically in the realm of matter, participating in active manifestations of our lower mind, which are projecting us into that illusion, right? But eventually that's all closing out. The Akash of the physical realm is closing out. So this means that you'll just inherit that and take that into another place. So, yeah. So thank you for receiving. We're going to go into the activation, the greater activation now. So what I will invite in and request once again through this is that you're not driving. If you want to receive this in its fullness, you receive it with eyes closed. You don't pay attention to what I'm doing. You internally activate through your awareness. and allowing the words that I'm expressing to simply be acknowledged. If you acknowledge it as and accept it as a commandment through you, you can have a very, I'm not going to say the same experience, but you'll have the experience through you that is available, but you will have the experience. So allow yourself, instead of trying to do what you hear me saying, use it as that's a commandment. It is. It simply is. And if I accept it, it is applied. From this acceptance, the application of acceptance provides the gateway of experience. That is your doorway to a greater experience on the material plane. So if anyone would like to take a moment, use the bathroom or anything like that, we're going to go into that greater activation. And yes, so I'm going to take one moment, just going to stand up, stretch, and then come sit back down. So. Okay. Good, 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 good. So grateful to hear that you're safely parked. Good deal. Okay. All right. Welcome, Yvonne. Good, good, good. Yes, and I know, and again, I've had people hear me say that and still have tried to drive, and they've either almost wrecked or they've literally had to pull over because they were pulled in and out of consciousness. So that's the way energetically through me, everything is guided through multiple states of ascending in consciousness and applying that. So if you accept and you receive, then energetically you have an invitation into that. And so it's going to want to pull your awareness into its highest state of application, which is internal. Again, and so I do want to reflect, if you are one that has visuals, if you see things, the invitation is to accept and honor that this is the way your mind attempts to understand what it is receiving, but you allow this to come in, and accepting and honoring that there is nothing to see. Nothing to see. The only thing that is here is to be felt. And so if the images appear, pull them in. Just pull them in. Take a deep breath and feel yourself inhaling and pulling everything in. Even now, colors, the light, this is another thing that's been clarifying deeper through me, is that the light doesn't have colors. It's infrared, if you will, to a certain degree, but we can't see the color range, okay? We are not yet in that state to see the color range. And so the colors that we do see is simply, shall we say, our neural network attempting to identify the colors. And so it brings through the range that is closest. It is something that is, oh, of course, absolutely. Thank you, my dear. It's something that it's simply felt, it's experienced. Again, it's electric, magnetic. It's currents, okay? We are so used to seeing things and wanting to see things because we're more comfortable. We can identify. If we see something, we're like, oh, yes, I identify with that. I know that. I know that. I know that because I saw it. I know it, right? So therefore, because I know it, I saw it, but we don't. It's unseen. And again, energetically, the mind will want to take some of the things that I'm saying and try to apply it in a way of, oh yeah, I know that. I know that. I've been there. I understand that because I've been there. allow yourself to just let go of anything you think you know and anything you think you understand about what is being said here. Okay? Allowing, as we come into this, allowing the unknown and the unseen. You don't know. None of us know. But we do understand. We can understand. We can exist because we do exist. So simply allowing and accepting this as we drop in. Just inviting everyone once again to please declare, I accept, I receive, and please let me know as the wind is beginning to pick up. It hasn't all day, but it has been since I've been out here. Please let me know if you're having a hard time hearing me as we go into this, and I will put my headset in, my earbuds. So if you're able to hear me okay, then we will continue as is. So accepting, acknowledging the experience as being unknown. Just because you've had an experience before doesn't mean that it's the same experience as now. Just because you hear something and you say, oh, I've had that experience. No, you haven't. You haven't, because the experience of now is different than the last now. It is different. It is not the same. It always changes. Even as I'm speaking, it's changing. It is never the same. Accepting and allowing the change, accepting and allowing the flow of the experience. Dropping deeper into that acceptance by taking a deep breath and allowing yourself to bring everything in, bringing it in, acknowledging that you are the central and everything around you is the physical, mental, emotional, and you are accessing everything from the central. So your central space isn't just feeling through the physical, but it can, and it is, but it's not just limited by that. It can feel the emotional body, which isn't the identified emotions. It's simply ranges of energy that is in motion. It is identified through the mind and anchored through the body. If you just simply allow it to be energy in motion, it's just simply in motion. The mental body is a gigantic space that, if allowed, can be empty. It's just a space. We fill it up with the dialogue and the knowledge. The knowledge doesn't necessarily mean wisdom, but we fill it up with words. If we empty the words, if we empty the identified feeling, and if we allow that we're not bound by the body, we simply just exist as the awareness. So allowing the self to deepen into that. And for those of you that are dialing in, that are remaining for this, I thank you and welcome. Thank you for receiving, allowing yourself to use this moment to rediscover the peace and prosperity that exists always, that is never found outside of you, but that is present through you in every moment. If you allow yourself to simply accept that. Prosperity, abundance is not monetary, it is energetic. It is the empty space of the mind. It is the no identity of the emotions. And it is the no solidified, bound by matter-based physical. It is simply just an existence. Welcome. So allowing yourself internally with eyes closed to remain in this space of acceptance as we go deeper. If you are new to receiving this, you might hear me speaking, making noises. And if you would like to receive this at its fullest, again, invitation, eyes closed. Eyes closed. There is nothing on the phone. There is nothing on your keyboard that is necessary. Allow yourself to receive the fullness of your energy that is here. And thank you for receiving. Deepening into the state, relaxing into the state, accepting all that is and all that is incoming. You will hear me speaking, making noises. That is an expression of frequency. It simply enhances the activated state. You will also hear commandments of the light. Opening, activating. Opening, activating. Opening, activating. Opening, activating Earth Star. Opening, activating, and expanding the Earth Star. Opening, opening, opening and activating Earth Star. Opening and expanding Earth Star. Opening, allowing, allowing in the currents. Allowing in the currents. Allowing in the currents. Opening, opening, opening. Allowing in the currents. Opening and activating root. Opening and activating root. Allowing in the currents through the root. Commanding. Shifting out of identity experience, out of character, shifting out of the character plane, but allowing. And applying this for the collective, shifting out of the character plane. Accepting, acknowledging, shifting. Opening, expanding, allowing in the light, bringing in the currents through the root, bringing in the currents through the sacral, opening, activating sacral, opening, activating solar plexus, allowing in the currents. And just allowing the currents to fill you up, allowing, activating, allowing, and of course from the heart open and active and expanding, allowing in the currents. These currents are the anchor. They are going to provide your, if you're used to grounding, the same process, except more intense, because the ions automatically neutralize and pull you in. Opening, activating, soul star. Opening, activating, opening, activating, opening, activating, and allowing in the currents. Allowing in the currents, opening, activating, allowing in the currents, opening, activating, expanding. Expanding. Active currents from Earth Star, active currents from Soul Star, active currents connecting, activating the orbit, opening, activating crown, opening, activating third eye, opening, activating throat, again, anchoring, opening, activating heart, and expanding. Applying the centralized pillar. Expanding within the centralized pillar, opening the central channel. Opening. Opening the central channel. Please declare, I accept, I receive. Opening the central channel, allowing the connection in from the Earth Star, Soul Star. Enhancing. And activating prana tube. Activating chi, activating pranic energy, pulling this up from the root, up from the solar plexus, up from the root, up from the sacral, up from the solar plexus, through the heart, through the throat, third eye, crown, activating chi flow, activating cosmic orbit. You're going to be filled up with some tingles, with some light energy. Activating, and pulling this up, activating the meridians, activating, and filling up the central channel. Filling up the central channel. Activating, enhancing prana, enhancing chi, enhancing, filling up, more light, filling up with the currents, the electrical currents, filling up. And from this state, allowing the prana, allowing the life force to open and expand all chakras. Activating, opening, activating, opening, activating all blood flow. Activating, clearing, 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 activating and clearing. Clearing the energy, clearing the energy, clearing the field, clearing, clearing, clearing. Clearing the body. Clearing, 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 clearing the body, clearing the body, clearing the body, clearing, 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 and clearing the emotional field, clearing, clearing, clearing the emotional field, clearing and cleansing, clearing and cleansing, clearing and cleansing, and clearing, releasing, emptying the mental body, emptying the mental body. The commandment of the light empties the mental body. Emptying, clearing all sentient energies that are feeding. Clearing. And allowing these thoughts, allowing anything in that body to just simply be dismantled, disentangled, allowing any words, allowing any thoughts, their energy, just allowing that to be cleared, clearing, clearing, clearing. From this space, obtaining the empty vessel, and just simply accepting and allowing the self as the empty vessel that is also full at the same time. It is full of the no thing that is yet to be realized. And simply accepting and allowing. We shift out, moving up into shifting and allowing the character, allowing the physical plane, allowing, beginning the activation of the wave, beginning the activation of the wave, particles dismantling, activating the wave, activating the wave, clearing and opening all energy centers, clearing and opening, the wave moving through the organs, the wave moving through all form, allowing, dismantling the particle, allowing. Now coming into opening, activating sun star, opening, activating sun star, opening, activating, opening, expanding sun star, allowing in more light, allowing in the allowing in the magnetic currents, allowing in more light, allowing in more magnetic currents of light, allowing this in through the soul star. The active orbit is in motion. Activating the orbit, activating incoming magnetic waves, activating incoming magnetic waves, allowing, coming in, magnetic waves coming in, inheriting the magnetic waves, allowing, activating, allowing, and the magnetic waves meet the waves of matter. And allowing the magnetic light to meet the waves of matter. Allowing yourself to move from the wave of matter into the wave of magnetic. Coming into the magnetic. Coming in, releasing more from the matter. Releasing from form. Releasing from form. This is going to move up your spine, up towards the back. It's going to connect with that back part of the skull that I was talking about, coming up through the back of the spine, connecting in to the entry point of the soul. Pulling up, connecting, and pulling up into the magnetic currents. Pulling up into the magnetic currents, pulling up, Entering magnetic currents, dismantling more matter. Entering magnetic currents, dismantling matter. And active waveform of matter is released. So we are the active wave of matter. It is no thing. It is not bound by anything. We are also in the active wave of magnetic through the solar, through the sun star, coming in. This is only accessible from the heart and higher, so you're probably going to feel it more intensely through your heart and higher. It can still reach the lower. It is pulling the lower up, but it is going to be pulling everything mostly from here up. The lower is still, of course, connected to the matter. Accepting, allowing, and calling in from the inner plane, calling in the masters, calling in the masters of physical initiation, calling in, requesting anchors to hold the frequencies for those receiving. Requesting, thank you. Masters of the physical initiated plane are going to assist in holding the frequency, enhancing the receivership of everything that is outside of the physical plane. And let us invite in all soul extensions that are available, inviting in soul extensions that are available to come into and join the cause. Calling in soul extensions. Requesting, inviting all soul extensions that are available. Thank you. Just allowing this energy to pour in, just taking a moment, opening the vessel, allowing the vessel to receive the energy of the other soul extensions, pouring in, coming in. Remember, you are safe, you can receive, it is not too much. They will not overwhelm, they are you. Accepting and allowing the incoming. This is actually pouring in from the base of your head. It's coming in through your spine and expanding out energetically. They are coming in through the entry point of the soul. Thank you. Thank you. And calling in the cosmic service of the physical plane. Anchoring into the physical matter plane, assisting in applying reparations to the cellular. The cellular matter is on a different plane. Our DNA is actually in our etheric body. So what we have is a manifested physical projection of our true form. We move in and out of manifested form depending on what we project through the mind and the emotions. This is the particle. Right now, we call all particles into a singular unified form through mind, body, emotions. We call it all in, allowing the self to fill up from the earth star, coming in, bringing all matter in, bringing all identities in, bringing all characters in. Receiving. Aruk tuku masyata kaya turku tuku syata imbarku ariasa keteki mario tuku riasa kia tuku ori ambarku indik arku ashik markurk asku ashkutu ariasa kumbariasa tek eru oruk ashik ark markurk ask arku ark ashkurk arik tek tek urk ashkurk tuku arik ukurk, and actively receiving. Thank you. Thank you. Now requesting access and requesting to connect to the monad and requesting to initiate the flame for those receiving, inviting in all monads. The monad is not a person, it's not an object or an image, it is a state of consciousness. So we just invite in this state of consciousness, inviting this in, opening and activating the central channel again, opening, expanding, and requesting, connecting into the cord of the monad, the energetic cord, accessing Thank you. And requesting that all receiving have an open accessibility to the level of the flame that is available for this experience. Thank you. Opening, activating cosmic star, opening, activating universal star, bringing in, opening, activating, expanding, allowing in more light, allowing in more waves, allowing in more light, allowing in more waves, opening, expanding, expanding, opening, expanding, allowing in more light, allowing in more light, expanding, allowing in more light, allowing in, expanding. We are being engulfed now, allowing, and moving into the higher magnetic, pulling it in, going into the higher magnetic, bringing it in, moving in, pulling up from the central heart, coming up, pulling in, rising, commanding all energy bodies. The acceptance, the capacity is open. This is being received through the central. All energy bodies accepting, receiving the capacity. This is coming up from the central and rising. Accepting, allowing, and now from this space, requesting, calling in the flame, bringing the flame in, bringing it in through the stars, bringing it in through the higher stars, bringing the flame in, bringing it in through the central channel, calling it in, activating the flame is active. It is active through the cells. It is active through the physical, activating, clearing the cells, clearing the physical, clearing any excess density of matter, clearing the cells, clearing the body, clearing the blood, clearing the bones, clearing the joints, opening and activating the joints, and of course, again, inviting in extensions of the souls to come in through the joints. Those that are incarnate will come in through the joints. They will come in through the gateways of the joints. Those that are not will come in through the gateway, the base of the skull. Allowing this in, bringing this in energetically, applying the flame and cleansing the physical body. Cleansing, assisting in breaking down the density, releasing, filling the flame, filling the cells up with the flame at the capacity that is available, filling the cells up with the flame, filling the emotional body with the flame, filling the mental body with the flame, unifying physical, mental, emotional. The flame is unifying. The flame is unifying, clearing, and inviting, requesting deactivation of any genetic deformities. Deactivating genetic deformities. Disconnecting, deactivating, neutralizing, neutralizing cellular deformity, and filling up with light. Filling up with the flame. The nucleus is filled with light. The nucleus is filled with the flame of the monad. Filling up, filling up, filling up, clearing. And requesting and receiving the axonal balance, requesting, and receiving axonal alignment. Through this process, please allow yourself to relax. Remember, you are the wave, allowing the axonal alignment to begin. You might feel yourself moving and shifting. Receiving axonal alignment. Receiving. Allow yourself to deepen into just simply receiving. You're just receiving, allowing your body to move. You'll feel the waves under the physical matter actually moving, where your etheric is reformatting, recalculating, and reconstructing. So requesting through the axonal alignment, requesting to receive, connecting the matter DNA, connecting the cells of material form, connecting this to the etheric DNA, initiating a link, and beginning a download to be able to receive. And simply just receiving from that DNA what is available, inheriting it into a lighter density. We cannot receive the purity of ourselves in physical matter form, but we can receive a more easeful, balanced experience of self, but this is upheld through our choice. This is upheld through our ability to accept ourselves fully, so that our cells, the balance, can be found in the matter, the physical manifestation. So allowing and inheriting this in through the spine. This is coming in through the cord and receiving the download. Receiving the download. And I openly accept and allow others to, inviting all others in, receiving into this experience and heightening, expanding this into the greater collective for enhancement. And allowing. Now you're going to be feeling through the back. There's an invitation. I'm not saying you will or you have to, but you could be feeling a very intense energetic current going through your spine from the base of your feet up through each leg, coming up through your spine and down through your arms. Now the reason why it doesn't reach the head is because the head is bound by fully the higher, and this is being received into the realm of matter. The higher aspects are still bound energetically, we'll say, just where the location of the head is. Not necessarily the head itself, but energetically where it exists, and also too, the materialization of it in some way is connected to, well, the materialization of that, what you're experiencing in the physical, is felt in that way. It might feel as if it's not there. So accepting and receiving. Now calling in. Now for this part, I'm going to request that this activated part, that those that are still in probation receive through the soul, the higher self. So requesting the connection into the soul. activating, opening that connection. And you might feel it getting a bit cold. Activating that connection. And now I'm going to move into my connection monadically to open this up more. So activating the rise, moving into the higher plane of the soul through the awareness and the state of consciousness. Rising, rising, expanding into the etheric, expanding and rising, 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 coming into, opening the base of the neck, opening the spine, opening the base of the skull for receiving, activating, and now calling in and receiving through the monadic cord, calling in and receiving through the soul cord, calling in and receiving the packets of light, calling in, receiving packets of light, bringing these in, these are coming in, activating, calling in crystalline compounds, anchoring into the hemispheres of the brain, anchoring in, receiving packets of light, activating packets of light, calling in crystalline compounds to anchor into the spine, receiving the packets of light into the spine, activating, calling in crystalline compounds, anchoring into the physical body, activating, and receiving the packets, expanding out from the nervous system, and the nervous system, the brain, and all neural connections will emit the packets of information. And these are active and available depending on your quotient. Activating, receiving, activating, receiving. And the body is filling with light, activating. The body is filling with light. The body is filling with light, activating. Activating. And now that the body is full of light, allowing that these packets of light will consistently unlock through the devotion of your choices. So this is simply here and applied, and everything here as I've opened the space up and invited everyone in to experience this. I am inviting and applying this from a space where the availability to consistently receive the packets is dependent only on a higher path of choice. The higher you rise out of your lower character into your higher, the more you will receive from these packets energetically. They will consistently unlock automatically. So they are there and available. But you must step into, they're there working right now and assisting, absolutely. But the fullness is available, and this also, I should say, a beautiful opportunity for everyone, an invitation to step into a higher path. You don't have to step into the path of ascension, but you can step into a path of higher choice, which will also unlock a certain quotient of this energetic receivership. So this is anchoring. This is anchoring. I just felt it anchor through the lower character in the belly button. It's anchoring, which means it's recognizing where everyone is still energetically through the sacral, Through the sacral and lower is where the majority of everyone is. Now, you might project energetically through the solar plexus because of your relationships, your friendships. Those project through the solar plexus, but everything is inherited through the root, sacral, and then solar plexus. So all lower contracts are bound through the projections of these chakras. So just allowing for a moment of continual receiving and requesting from the receiving of the flame just to receive any final cleansings from the monadic cord, allowing that to come in, allowing that to be received. We accept, we receive, we accept, we receive. And allowing anything that's still here, requesting anything that's still here, requesting for the soul extensions, if there is anything that is still here to come in from the soul extensions, assisting the receiving, please come in. And finalizing any axonal alignments. So simply aligning the axonal alignments or higher alignments, allowing and requesting any and all reparations of imbalance. So magnetically being pulled into the alignment. Magnetically being pulled into the alignment. So simply allowing, being pulled into the alignment. And once the alignment is complete, this is complete. Accepting, receiving. This is really the majority of this finalizing is coming up through the spine. Again, that major point of receiving coming up through the spine. This is where everything, you feel it in the spine, but energetically it's coming in from that etheric, cosmic. Coming into the spine, coming into the joints. But actually, no, it's filtering into the spine. Absolutely, I can feel, and I'm feeling and experiencing those waves. The only thing that I can see is just, shall we say, energetic influence of waves behind the eyes, just black and white movement. So simply allowing, so in final, we allow one final wave from the universal star, one final wave coming in from universal, coming in from cosmic. So it's coming in from astral, coming in from etheric, coming in through the sun, which is the light body. It is the light body where we have inherited the causal body from the soul star to the higher, which is the astral etheric. The sun star connects those. That's human and solar is the inheritance of the cosmic universal. So we simply allow that to come in, allow it to come in energetically, completing the activation, coming in through the open active earth star, inheriting through the earth star, receiving the final wave. And once the final wave is complete, through the orbit, through the active orbit, those stars will close. They are open through a progression of initiation. We only have access to the higher, outside of the ones that, the chakras that we're used to. We'll only have access to the 9 and higher based on our progression out of lessons. Thank you. All is received. All is received. Thank you. And closing off the connection to the monadic flame. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Monadic flame was received. Returning the flame. Thank you. Returning the flame. Thank you. All is cleansed. All is cleared. All is activated. Thank you for receiving. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So just allowing yourself to open the physical eyes. Stretching. Thank you again for receiving. I am truly grateful. I am always and ever so very appreciative, as there are so many more people choosing to tune in and receive. And I thank you for those that have not only chosen to tune in and receive, but have remained throughout the totality of this, as everything is brought through. I don't put a time frame or an expectation. I just bring through everything that is here energetically to be expressed and to be experienced. And so I thank you for choosing to be here, and I thank you for choosing to receive. Thank you. Thank you. So I close out the connection. I pull back. So pulling back, receiving the portal that was open, pulling this back into myself, closing off the connection. Everyone is in their own field. Everyone is in their own. Everyone is in their own. Everyone is in their own. Pulling back. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, everyone. I'm so grateful. The majority of these I'm going to be bringing through for my group, but I will bring through these activations more often for the public. And thank you. Just offering this as a service of my own. This is something I would have been applying for myself, so just invited everyone into it. If you would like to receive a more powerful but and heightened activated experience, I will be opening on 11/11. I have an offering. It's a paid offering, $66 for 90 minutes. Receiving the contract is specific. It must be agreed upon and invested energetically into, and it is a collective contract of higher receiving. And so if you would like to energetically into that and receive, I will have the information in the description. And if you're not there live, you can watch the replay, and I will have that available for, until we get ready for the 12/12. It's not a portal activation. This is not honoring anything that is bound by illusionary time. This is actually a higher contract that is not bound by time. And so it's not dependent upon portals, dates, anything like that. So it's higher, it offers a greater accessibility. And again, the ability to receive that in its capacity depends on what you are able, willing, and choosing energetically and accepting. And so if you accept that it's all here, and you can, and you will, and you will receive it in its fullest. Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I will say that I am my group space, the mentorship that I offer, everything at the beginning of this, everything that I was speaking into is what is offered through me on a daily basis. But I'm going to put a cap on the amount of people that are able to step into that space. So I have room now for 2 more people to step in, and then that will be the cap. So if anyone is interested, it is a month-to-month paid space. And it's not recurring. It is donation based, but I do have a minimum requirement energetically that's necessary because of how much is offered through me. It's $122. The range that everyone pays is $122 to $277, anywhere in there. So anything that you have the capacity to invest is appreciated. It allows me to just energetically, for me, it's not to go towards anything in the material that I'm buying. It really is just an energetic balance for me. It's there. It assists in upholding my capacity energetically. So I am using the money as an energetic anchor and balance in my energy bodies. So thank you. And that if you do choose this, again, information will be in the description. to how to reach me, email or through Instagram. And I don't have a website. I don't tie into the system in that way. But it is something that requires full vulnerability and full accepting. Because if not, if you step into that space with expectations or really just wanting to do this to be seen a certain way, or if you deny yourself, it doesn't mean you can't or you won't. I mean, that's a part of the progression, but this is for those that are truly devoted to their path of ascension, or even if it is to the lesson groups, but you're willing and accepting a higher, which means you're open for that. Because this really is what this space, this spiritual space is about the ascension. That's what it's devoted to assist the progression into the initiations. So if you're interested, you can reach me through the information that will be provided. I will contact and connect with you to see energetically if you're truly open and available for that. I will really need to do that, because I energetically, if not, there will be just consistent resistance. And so it's not that I don't want everyone to. I do. I really do. But if it's just simply not available, it's not available. So if you're interested, it is a journey. It is a commitment. It is a devotion to self. Truly it is. And there's a part of you that must be open and accepting and willing to let go of what you think you know, to let go of what you think matters, and to let go of the mindful matter, the particle self, okay? So that is invited in. Thank you all for receiving. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And for those that I'm going to see on 11/11, I look forward to that. And until the next time, thank you. Adonai.